This video will demonstrate how to factor a quadratic when a is not equal to 1. So remember, a quadratic has the general form ax squared plus bx plus c. And what we're going to talk about now is when a is not equal to 1. Or in other words, the number out in front of the x squared term is not a 1. Here I have an example, 3x squared minus 14x minus 5. A would be 3, b would be minus 14, and c would be minus 5. When we're asked to factor something like this, we can use the AC method. What that tells us to do is find paired multiples of a times c. Here is my a, 3, and here is my c, minus 5. So in this case, 3 times minus 5 is going to give me a negative 15. Okay, so what I'm looking for now is paired multiples of negative 15 that sum to b, which in this case is minus 14. All right, and these are fairly easy to come up with. All right, so it's negative. I know one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. So 1 and minus 15. And when I add those together, I get minus 14. Now when a is equal to 1, these actually become my factors, right? I'd write x plus 1, x minus 15. That does not work when a is not equal to 1. When a is not equal to 1, we have to come back and rewrite the problem and use grouping to actually come up with our factors. So here I'm going to rewrite this as 3x squared plus x minus 15x minus 5. Okay, now why would I do that? Well, the x comes from, I'm going to put a 1 in front of x, and then I'm going to put a minus 15 in front of x. I use my two multiples, okay, to rewrite this. I haven't changed the problem in any way. Notice that if I combine like terms, x minus 15x would give me right back my minus 14x. All right, so all I've done is rewrite this problem, but I used my two paired multiples to replace minus 14x with x minus 15x. Now I can solve this using the grouping method. And the grouping method goes that I can group the first two terms together, and I can group the second two terms together. All right, and I want to pull out anything I can. All right, so I have a 3x squared plus x. Well, here I can factor out, I would have x out front, and that would leave me 3x. All right, why? Because I pulled an x out of here, so that only leaves me x to the first power plus 1. Okay, and now here I've got minus 15x minus 5, so I can pull out a minus 5. Okay, why? Because minus 5 goes into minus 15 and into minus 5. And that would leave me 3x plus 1. Okay. Now notice that my two terms in parentheses are exactly the same. That's what I want to end up with. So one of my factors is going to be 3x plus 1. Okay, whatever the two have in common, I can just pull that out. And then my other factor is going to be whatever is out front. Here I have an x, so that's going to be an x. Here I have a minus 5, so I'm going to put a minus 5. All right, so now I've factored this, okay. The first step, again, was to come up with the paired factors of a times c that sum to b. Then I rewrite the original problem, plugging in for my b term, all right, my two multiples, and then I use the grouping method. Remember, the grouping method is that I pull out whatever they have in common, and then my second factor is whatever they have up front. And now if I want to double check this, I sure can using FOIL. I get 3x times x gives me a 3x squared. I get 3x times a minus 5 gives me a minus 15x. I get 1 times x, which gives me x. And I get 1 times minus 5, which gives me minus 5. Again, combining like terms, I end up with 3x squared minus 14x minus 5. All right, and all I've done there is just double check our answer to make sure that I end up with the same thing. So this would actually be our factors.